I'm Chad Jackson, the CEO and Chief Analyst at Lifecycle Insights. Our research is showing us that the biggest challenges with engineering transformation isn't technology-focused. It's actually people-centered and resistance-oriented. We believe that today's change agents need more than just a project plan. They need research, classes, organizational assessments, and role-based insights. We're starting an early access program called the Founders Council, where we collaborate with partners to upskill and enable change agents. If that seems like a fit, book a meeting with me at lifecycleinsights.com. And now, on to the show. Ryan Botzbach,
Hey,
welcome to the show.
great to meet you.
Yeah. Excited about this conversation, especially get your perspective on, stuff around MBD and MBE, but also what's going on in the engineering field and what the future looks like. So typically a good way to start is to kind of understand what you're doing right now. And typically I ask how people kind of got to this point in their career, but you're very early in your career. So talk to us a little bit about what you're doing right now with school and with your job.
Totally. Yeah, so currently I am a final year at UC Riverside. I'm studying mechanical engineering and I'm also working on a minor in computer science. I should finish up this spring, so 3 more months and I'll be out of there. Besides that, I'm still involved in the school FSAE program. I run a car club at the school as well, and I am working at a company called D&L Components. Basically, the concept of it is are they sell nuts and bolts to aerospace, defense, race companies.
Sure.
They're somewhat of a middleman, but they sell them to bigger companies, startups, anything.
Cool. That's great. You're getting kind of real world engineering experience while you're in school. And I know, the curriculum of a lot of engineering programs are pretty rigorous, technically, for sure. A lot of people don't have time for a job on top of that. So, like, talk to me about that. Like, what was that like? Why? Yeah, just talk to me about that.
100%. Yeah. I don't I'm working part-time. I'm not working full-time. I don't think I could balance that, but
Yeah.
this past year I moved back home, so I'm commuting. It's about an hour drive to UCR. So it's quite a bit, but I work in the mornings and then I just head off to school. It is a little bit rigorous, just keeping up with both sides of things, keeping up with work. But
Yeah.
I make it happen somehow. So I've been making that work. I actually worked there a while back, um, probably around a year and a half ago, and then I moved back to Riverside so I could focus on school for a little while. And I got this is a great story. I got into a motorcycle accident with a
Oh no.
professor at the university I go to.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, during that time, I had a lot of problems. I had some leg issues, so I had to stay
Okay.
at home. And then once I was all better,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, this is pretty sweet. I might as well just stay at home and save some bucks on rent, enjoy some home
Yeah.
meals.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's great. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the accident. I hope
yeah.
you're fully recovered and everything, but um yeah, it totally makes sense. Okay, so talk to me about the car club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So
tell me
it's
about that.
Yeah, 100%. It's called Rides at UCR. It's just a student organization at UCR. We've actually really exploded in the past 2 years or so. It's gotten much bigger. It's a well-renowned car club in Riverside now. So
Huh.
a lot of the times we've gotten up to over 1,000 people at a meet before. It's very, very
Wow.
active. Yeah. Albeit we've been having some struggles this year with school worrying about safety and stuff like that, so we've definitely toned it back a
Sure.
bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great. It's been amazing to meet a bunch of people who are like-minded like me. I'm very passionate about cars, about internal combustion engines. So if I
Yeah,
get any chance to talk about it, I love to talk to people about cars.
that's awesome. That's very cool. Okay, so with the club, you all get together and race? Do you show each other your cars? Like, what's the story? What's the activity?
So most of the time it's car meets, so we're all just hanging out. It's to an extent a little bit of a social club for those
Yeah,
interested in cars. We do track events as well. Hopefully, we'll have a track event in the next 3 months or so. But
yeah,
a lot of the time, we're students, so we don't have the best budget. And when you're talking about budgeting for a racetrack trip, it can be a little tough. So what we do
yeah.
is we are trying to get more funding right now so then we can make tickets cheaper so then people can register for less and hopefully get more people actually on the track, get to have some fun without totally breaking the bank over it.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so you said that you love to talk about internal combustion engines, and there is something in the background. That's not a picture, right?
No,
That's
no,
an
this
engine
is
block.
this is a real so this is Volvo 5-cylinder white block engine. Um
Huh.
yeah, it's a 2.4 liter turbo 5-cylinder engine. I actually so I have a odd car. I like to say it's a quirky car. It's a 2005 Volvo V70R station wagon. Sounds boring off the top, but I was making some crazy horsepower numbers for a little while, and then I had the crankshaft gear nut that holds on the gear for the timing just
Yeah,
came right
yeah.
off. Came right off.
No way.
Yeah, so my timing jumped and valves hit pistons, and I got nervous
Ooh.
about the bottom end, so I was like, "All right, we're just gonna do a full rebuild." So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it's been a little crazy, but right now I already got it back from the machine shop, and I am waiting on some tools to check for tolerances in the cylinders. I still need a dial bore gauge just because this engine has 150,000 miles on it, so I want to check if the cylinders are out of round before I toss a
Yeah,
bunch of new components into it and send it.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, if anybody's listening or viewing this in the Riverside area and can help Ryan out, hit him up. Um, okay, like you said, you're hitting some crazy high horsepower numbers. Like, what range are you talking about?
I when I say crazy high, I mean more like 400 horsepower, which is a good chunk for a
Well,
Volvo.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
it was a heavily modified system beforehand. The only thing that I was missing was internal components, basically. So, right now I'm going to be doing forged pistons, forged rods, upgraded race bearings, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Might be looking at a new turbo, but my student budget is kind of getting out of hand right now.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I'd love to hear it. Okay, so mechanical engineering, uh, computer science minor.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Where'd that come from, and like, what's the vision?
So originally, I was actually a bioengineering major at UCR,
Huh.
and I was originally planning. I couldn't decide between doing something engineering wise, doing something going into the medical field. So I thought bioengineering was a decent compromise, and I could kind of go either way. I could go into engineering. I could go into the medical field. I don't think I had the best perspective at the time into how I
Okay.
could pursue those careers after school. I kind of came to realize that basically my options with bioengineering was really doing some sort of research or doing med school. The
Yeah.
engineering aspect of it, if I wanted to go into something more mechanical related, it was a little bit tougher. I was at a
Yeah.
disadvantage if I wanted to do anything like that. So
Yeah.
my parents of all people actually convinced me. My mom's a doctor, and she convinced me not to do med school. So
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, all right, if I'm not doing med school, what am I doing? I have to do research. So I got involved in research at UCR. I was in a biomaterials lab for a couple of years, and I had a
Wow.
great experiences there. But at the end of the day, it felt I felt tired of the repetitiveness of some of the items that I was doing. It felt it was cool to be on the premise of research and all that, but it felt like I was doing busy work that wasn't really leading anywhere, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I realized that I didn't want to do research. So I was like, all right, I need a change. I need to do something different. And I was already involved in the car club. At the time, I think I was president. And I was like, all right, I really love working on cars. I really love aerospace. I love all that stuff. So maybe I should
Yeah.
switch to mechanical. So
Yeah.
I originally wasn't allowed to switch to mechanical. Academic advisors were like, no, you're not allowed to do this. You're too late.
What?
I think I was a second year and a half or something like that. And
Huh.
what I did was I just kept on taking mechanical engineering classes, and nobody told me no. I kept on going. So at some point or another, I talked to my academic advisor, and I was like, "Hey, I've taken so many mechanical engineering classes. It will take me as long to finish a mechanical engineering degree as it would to finish a bioengineering degree." So like, all right,
Yeah.
we have to let you switch now. Um, so
Force
yeah,
the issue. I like it. That's
yeah,
great.
and
That's
then
great.
I I'm taking this is my fifth year, and I realized that I have an extra quarter that I don't need to take, and I realized that it would be the perfect amount of time to fit in a minor in computer science as well. So I've always loved computer science. It's a
Yeah.
great experience, but I don't know if I could ever do that as a major just because of
It's a
how
full
the
time.
climate is.
Yeah,
Yeah, nowadays. So having it
for
as a minor,
sure.
it feels like a really nice benefit. It just tags on a little extra thing to my resume that makes me feel a little more well-rounded. So I've been enjoying it. The computer science has been definitely testing me a little bit recently, but it's
Yeah.
overall been a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's a good move just because I mean, software's finding its way not just into everything, but the amount of software in these end items where you're talking about vehicles or aircraft or tractors or medical devices is just exploding. And it's only going to go up in the age of AI. So
Yep.
I think it's a smart move. Um, so talk to me a little bit about, okay, in the ideal world, what do you do with this? Where are you going? What type of company you're working for? What kind of role?
So, recently I've been obsessing a little bit over the company Androl. I am sure you're familiar with them.
Sure. Yeah.
I uh, I have relatives in the aerospace industry, and I've been able to watch them kind of, work and do their thing, and it's been
Yeah.
so interesting to me. I've loved what they've been doing. So, at this point, I'm convinced I either want to go into aerospace or defense. Uh,
Yeah.
I car companies would be cool as well, but it's kind of in the back of my
Yeah.
mind. I like the separation of hobby and work, because when you mash them together, it kind of can take the joy out of that hobby.
This is
Um,
true.
yeah, so
Absolutely true.
the currently my plan would be to try and get a job at Androl. They just are the most interesting company to me. I like what their founder thinks of. Palmer is just he's a smart
Hmm.
guy, and
He
I
is a smart guy. Yeah.
he is, yeah. And I think that the defense industry doesn't need to be as expensive as it is today. I think we can make it affordable and not spend, like 50% of our
Yeah.
country's budget on military spending. It seems pretty excessive to me. So I think making it affordable, making it more maintainable for more a cheaper price is totally an
Yeah.
attainable reach. And I think Palmer's the only one that's currently working on that.
Yeah. That's great. What I find interesting about that is that, when I look at some of these startups in the aerospace and defense industry, they're much more, how do I say it? They don't have people sitting behind a computer all day at a desk, right? They have people out there getting their hands on hardware, getting elbows deep into that
Yeah.
stuff. So, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of doing that already. So, feels
Yeah.
like a good fit.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think like my parents have been very supportive of me working on my car and all that stuff. I think they can see it too that it's not exactly what most engineers imagine themselves doing, working on cars or something mechanical, but I think
Yeah.
it's a valuable skill to just understand that when you're building something, you not only need to build it as well as you possibly can, but you need to design it in a way that is, maintainable, that it can be
Hmm.
maintenance, and without putting your hands on something, it's really hard to sometimes see that concept. It's much easier to just have your hands on it and go, why did an engineer build it like this? Why would they do this thing? Did they save a couple dollars here, or did they just not think
Yeah.
of the consequences of putting this part here, which gets in the way of another part? So now you got to take off a whole
Yeah.
bunch of parts to service one thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Totally makes sense. Yeah, I completely agree. Well, cool. So let's shift gears a little bit. So DNL. So yeah, that's where you are right now. Okay, so DNL, you've been exposed to a production environment, it sounds like. They're making stuff, if not an engineering environment.
So
So talk to me about that a little bit.
yeah, so DNL, it isn't quite so much production as it is just an inventory of components in
Mm,
space and the defense industry. So they don't produce anything themselves, but they will modify parts. So
gotcha.
one of the big
Okay.
things that we do is we will purchase bolts from a manufacturer, and then for aerospace standards, at times you'll need safety wire on bolts, just to make sure everything stays in place. So
Hmm.
we'll send out the bolts to get them drilled, so then they can have the safety wire attached to the bolts. And this makes most of the bolts extremely valuable compared to the original price. So it's
Which is
one of
wild,
our
right?
big money makers. Yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's there's a million different things that DNL does. Most of it is bolts and nuts, but we sell them to defense companies, we sell them to aerospace companies. The millions of our bolts are in space. And we do smaller startup things like there's a couple companies that are making, Uber drones and stuff like that. Some of them are
Hmm.
supposed to be at the LA Olympics, I believe, in 2028.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Cool.
So we have that, as well as we have racing companies. So a lot of off-roading racing companies. So uh, race teams that are doing the Baja 500 and items like that, where they need super strong bolts for control arms, and you need the highest grade that you possibly can get. So then you can make sure
Yeah.
you don't have to replace it in the middle of Mexico when it's 100 degrees out.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Um, You know, so I want to share with you something I've heard, I guess, in the industry, in the space about your generation. And I'd love to get your perspective on if that's accurate or not. There are a lot of IT software tools that are in place and in use that have very manual processes. You got to move data around. You have to manually do things in a workflow you wouldn't expect, especially compared to like social media apps, right?
Hmm.
It's like the dark ages sometimes. And something that keeps going around the industry is that the youngest generation of engineers are not going to tolerate this. If you want to recruit the best and the brightest, then you need to modernize for a host of reasons, but one of which is to recruit and retain the newest generation of engineers. Love to get your take on that.
Yeah. I've had some firsthand experience with that kind of those kind of systems. Some of it
Yeah.
being at DNL, some of it being at other companies. But I I think a lot of people aren't going to be happy with it. At least in my generation, I think that they will be unsatisfied with it. But I also think
Mm,
that the job market today is just so scary for some people that
it's
if
brutal.
you're offered a job where you're doing something you're not really happy with, you will probably take it just because you need some job security and you also need some job
Sure.
experience. I think my generation, once we get, 5 years, 10 years into working in the industry, I think they'll definitely argue, like, hey, I don't want to be working with a system where I have to manually enter things. Everything's taking decades just to enter in information, which should be automated. It should be, you scan a barcode or something and it automatically enters
Yeah.
information. But I think that everybody is just so scared right now. Everybody can't get a job. I've had a lot of friends that just haven't been able to get a job over the past year, and I think all the lack of job security right now is going to mean that
Yeah.
everybody is going to take whatever job. Albeit
Yeah.
if it
Okay.
is an amazing job and they're happy with it, or if it's kind of a sucky job and they just need some more job experience so they can get something better.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense. It is a volatile time. There is a lot going on and
Yeah.
a lot of instability. So
Hmm.
I hear you. I hear you. Although I would, I think you're right. I think a lot of people are aligned with doing menial manual work is not something anybody enjoys. I think it's just that people that have been in the industry for a while, they think that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's like it's the status quo, and you just have to deal. So
Yeah, the automation of things, it's really changing the realm of engineering because people, there can be still people in the industry that, when they were in school, they were learning on pen and paper how to do engineering drawings.
yeah,
Albeit I was doing paper and pen engineering drawings, but I always knew that there was CAD as well. I always knew that
sure, yeah,
afterwards I'd be doing electronic engineering drawings. I'd never be touching pen and paper in the real world. Um,
yeah,
but the people that grew up there, I'm sure that they were disregarding CAD for a while, and I think that's kind of how it goes.
yeah,
Whatever engineer is working on something and they know how to do it, and they've been doing it for years and years and years, they're going to try and disregard the new technology because that's not how they do it. That's not how they've ever done it, and they would have to change their ways just to go
yeah,
with the current system. I
yeah,
don't think I think that engineers are in general pretty stubborn, and I don't think that they want to change to whatever new system. They think it's going to be worse. They think
yeah,
it's not going to be great. So I
yeah,
get the skepticism that most engineers have on things like that.
yeah, yeah. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I agree. Um, let's take a few minutes and talk about AI in engineering. We've been touching on new technologies here for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, definitely can be threatening. Definitely, a lot of companies see a lot of opportunity. Um, where have you been able to experiment with AI in any of these
100%.
roles?
Yeah.
All right,
Um,
talk to me. Tell me,
yeah.
tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So I've done my fair share of messing with AI, playing with AI. Albeit most of it is in my own personal little projects. Like for this Volvo engine right here, sometimes it's really hard to get information on stuff.
Huh?
If I need a specific part number for something, there's like a little O-ring that goes in one of the holes. I can't find it on diagram, I can't find it on a website, and I'm stuck. But I can reach out to I've been recently using a lot of Google Gemini. I think it does
Hmm.
a little bit of a better job than ChatGPT right now. Whether or
Yeah.
not that will stay, I do not know. But I've been trying that, and it's been very useful for me. I also have been working on getting a little website up on a Raspberry Pi, and I'm trying to do a Kubernetes system through
Hey.
2 Raspberry Pis. Loads of trouble there. Loads of trouble. I genuinely don't know if I could have ever started that project without having AI with me.
Yeah.
I don't have the textbooks. I have I'm working on that minor, but I don't quite have the knowledge of Kubernetes to do it on my own. So AI
Sure.
has been a great help there. And you see it sometimes at school. You see it sometimes involved in areas like that, and that can get
Yeah.
to a tricky slope over there. So I try and
Hmm.
minimize for right now the use of AI in academic work, but it definitely is a resource, and it can speed up processes that don't need to take long. Like for example, my car club. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bureaucracy of it. Talking to school
Huh.
administration people about permitting for events and stuff like that. I need to act formal. I need to be presentable, and I always want to make sure that I don't have any grammar mistakes. So I
Yeah.
always run through most of my emails just in an AI system
Yeah.
quick, just to double check, make sure everything looks right, and that I'm not gonna make a silly little mistake on a date, a name, a time, something like that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Those are all really good applications. It makes a ton of sense. Um, I think it's it's going to be fascinating to see how it progresses because, I mean, we might be in a situation where no task you do for work isn't touched by AI. You're going to use AI for almost every single task, whether it's augmenting or automating or verifying. So I think that time is coming very, very quickly upon us. Um, let's talk about change agents. Um, how would you define a change agent in your experience?
I would define a change agent as someone who has a new and applied perspective on a situation that they can improve upon. Someone who's applying something that either hasn't been thought of or just hasn't been applied to a situation before. I
Hmm.
think it can be a very vague term, change agent. It can apply to a lot of different areas, so the definition needs to be a little vague in itself. But I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to sum it up.
Okay. All right. Got it. Um, have you do you see yourself as a change agent and or would you want to be a change agent?
I think at times I can see myself being a change agent, but I think one of the
Hmm.
things is you can be a change agent for a while, and then you can also not be a change agent for a while. Just even
Yeah.
at my work, where the company is growing very, very quickly, and we're having a hard time scaling. So we always need new ideas. Biggest issue is honestly our inventory is running out of space right now, and we need to either improve the efficiency of storing items in our current space, or we need to get a whole new space. And
Yeah.
that's one of the challenges, but just formatting and figuring out the best method, the best way to organize to inventory, to make sure that everything stays in a way where we can eventually find it, but also stay in as compact of an area as possible.
Yeah.
It can be challenging, and I can see myself, spending time looking around, figuring out how to improve these situations, how to improve our formatting. But I can also see myself sometimes getting into a a rhythm it's like just kind of when you're zoning out a little bit and you're just going through work. You're not actually applying any change. And I think
Yeah.
that can be problematic, especially for engineers, just because if you're not avidly going out of your way to see how you can improve a system, then that's kind of where a system stagnates. And I think that's where a lot of problems arise for some of the larger companies. Just having engineers who are content with their current situation, or
Yeah.
just clocking in and then clocking out. They're there to do one thing and one thing only. So
Yeah.
I think keeping that open mind, making sure that you stay alert while you're working, just to figure out how can I make my life better? How can I improve my own work by just advocating for changes to my environment, to my work environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Yeah, makes ton of sense. Um, have you been able to do any work with model-based definitions, 3D models with tolerancing and dimensioning and notes and materials and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I actually I worked at a machine shop in Corona, and this machine
Okay.
shop did a lot of aerospace components. During my time there, I did some of it was gun components and stuff like that. That was a lot of it.
Mm.
But a lot of it was aerospace components. I worked on for a little while on it's like a fuel injector turbine for I believe is fighter F5 fighter jet, which was the coolest thing ever. Love that experience. Some of the stuff that's really cool about working in the aerospace is, if you're working on something on the older side, you will
Yeah.
be reaching out to those 1970s engineering drawings. At some point, I was holding, it was probably like an 8 foot long engineering drawing of the turbine fuel injector. It was amazing, so cool. I love that experience. But I during that job, I was basically I was doing a lot of the CADing. I was doing all
Sure.
the modeling for the systems, and then that modeling would be transferred over into machine code, so then they could
Yeah.
break down the parts, make them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. Great experience. So I'd love to get your perspective on how readily that transition was made. I don't know if you were there when they first started or it was a well-established practice. Talk to me a little bit about that first.
Yeah, I was actually hired for the pure purpose of being that modeling person. So I never got to experience anything beforehand. I don't truly know
Yeah.
what they even did before me.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't have anyone who was doing modeling or anything like that. I'm imagining they probably at the time outsourced it to someone else. I
Sure.
could be wrong, but yeah, I was the only one doing CAD there, so that was a great experience. But just converting, engineering drawings to models, so then they can produce
Hmm.
in code for it. That
Yeah.
was basically my entire job. So
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. Were they, it's really interesting with a lot of initiatives around MBD and MBE that engineering can start creating those MBD definitions, the 3D model with embedded PMI, but getting downstream folks to use it, not only just use it, but use it for automation,
Hmm.
to read all the PMI and automatically create G code or NC code.
Yeah.
That can be a real challenge. I mean, do you have any perspective there on how that went?
I don't too much.
Okay.
Most of it was automated, but I wasn't exactly hands-on with it. To a large extent, my job was just model after model. That's what they wanted me to do. So it sounded like if they had the model, they knew what to do from there. They knew how to get it to machine
Yeah.
code. So I'm not too much of an expert there.
Okay. Got it. Completely understand. Um, okay. So you're recreating components from older 2D drawings into 3D models with PMI. Um, have you used different CAD applications?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. The two that I've really used is SolidWorks and then also Fusion,
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
unpopular opinion to a lot of people, but I'm a big advocate of Fusion over SolidWorks. Uh,
Oh, interesting.
yeah,
Okay. All
some
right.
people are gonna be upset about that. They don't.
Oh,
They're
yes.
hard SolidWorks fans. But I
Yeah.
think Fusion is just if if you're doing simulations, I agree. SolidWorks is the way to go. It's necessary. You wanna test some tensile strengths out. It makes a lot more sense in SolidWorks than it does Fusion. But Fusion is
Sure.
just so quick, so easy, so intuitive compared to SolidWorks that I it's my favorite. I can model something in minutes, and I'm a 3D printer. I love 3D printing things, so I'll be 3D printing nearly every single day, something or another. And
Wow, that's great.
yeah, yeah, Fusion is just so much easier, so much quicker. Um, and I think it's
Hmm.
also less CPU intensive, which is really nice when I'm on the go. I
Okay.
have my big clunky engineering laptop that has the battery
Sure.
life of 45 minutes. That the fans spin up and I can't hear anyone else in the room. Versus I have a little MacBook that I use mostly for, writing up stuff, but
Yeah.
it can run Fusion very well. So SolidWorks it struggles, but Fusion phenomenal. So I've become a
Yeah.
big advocate of Fusion. I think if you're talking about doing engineering systems and stuff like that, it probably is best suited for SolidWorks. But if you're trying to mock something up, if you
Hmm.
just want a quick model, I don't think you can beat Fusion. I really don't.
Really interesting. Okay. All right. I mean, and it's good to be competent in many different applications, right? Because you rarely know what's going to happen. There might be a merger in the company you're working for,
100%.
switches,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, hey, this conversation's been really great. I have one last question for you. Um, if you could redesign anything in the world, even if it's the better mousetrap, what would it be?
Hmm. Um.
And if you need a minute, I can distract you. I'll give
Oh,
you a
no,
few
no, no.
seconds to. All right, go,
You
go,
know,
go, go.
you know, I don't know if it's really redesigning, but I would love to see autonomous passenger planes at this point. So I guess that would be the redesign.
Yeah,
I think at this point we do have the technology to produce autonomous passenger commercial planes, and I think it could potentially save some lives in some incidences. So
yeah,
I would
yeah,
absolutely love to see that, as well as other autonomous vehicles. I'm a big advocate of autonomous driving, but
yeah.
that would probably be my go-to autonomous planes.
Awesome. Good answer. That's a great answer. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, Ryan, thanks so much for your time. Really great conversation. Really appreciate it. Best of luck. And again, if anybody's in the Riverside area and can help Ryan out with his engine, ping him, hit him up.
yeah. Thank you so much.
This is Chad again. Thanks for listening to the show. In these episodes, lots of discussion online, and maybe even your company. Hopefully, you're hearing the same thing that we're hearing. The biggest challenge to engineering transformation isn't technology focused, it's actually people centered. As part of the Founders Council, we're developing research, training, organizational assessments, and insights to upskill and enable change agents. That sounds like where you need to be. Come book a meeting with me at lifecycleinsights.com. Take care and talk soon.